spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warmup.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
Contra waiting. Here's the pitch. It is called strike three, and that's how the game ends. A very disappointing night for the Giants. They were dominated by the A's here tonight in the first game of this series. 11-2, the final score. A's win.
Welcome into the KNBR Giants warm-up show. My name is Bill Laskey. I'm filling in for Kerry Crowley, who takes the day off today. He'll be in tomorrow to do the warm-up show. A little delayed today, finishing up the Mets and Yankees. And, of course, the Mets won that game. They won the first two, and they go for a sweep tomorrow in New York. But today, we got to turn the page from yesterday's game as the Athletics walloped the Giants 11-2 with 12 hits, and they had 9 extra base hits. 6 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 home runs. The home run was by Nick Kurtz, and that was in the 6th inning. And in the 7th inning, Denzel Clark got his 3rd home run of the season. And Justin Verlander just didn't have his good stuff yesterday. He only lasted 3 innings, getting 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Mason Black and Ryan Walker finished that game. The Giants had opportunities to score in the 4th and 5th inning when they got the first 2 guys on, but nothing happened until the 8th inning when Brett Wisely hit his first home run for the San Francisco Giants. The Giants ended up getting 1 more in the 9th inning on a double and a base hit. So we have to see what's going to happen today. The Giants, after finishing up 2 wins in Arizona, where they scored 13 runs in those 2 games, 22 hits, now they turn the ball over to Logan Webb, their ace. Today, Logan Webb goes after his 8th win. He's 7-6 with a 2.6 earned run average. Some great pitching out of Logan Webb. He got his loss against the Diamondbacks, where he went 6 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. Faced Miami, he went 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs. His last win was against Cleveland, where he went 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run. So we'll see what Logan Webb does today in his 19th start for the San Francisco Giants. Going against him is Luis Severino. Severino is 2-9 with a 5.09 earned run average. His last 2 outings been whipped pretty good. The Yankees got him for 3 2/3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs. And the Detroit Tigers gave up 7 earned runs in 5 innings against them. He is 0-3 in his last 3 starts. So we'll see what happens today. But a couple transactions just happened right before we got on. Mason Black yesterday was optioned back to AAA. Tristan Beck was recalled. And Sergio Alcantara was designated for assignment. Matt Chapman has been reinstated off the IL. Some good moves right there. So we're going to take a quick one here, take a quick break, come back, and I'm going to talk to Shayna Rubin. She's with the San Francisco Chronicle, get some updates from her, and we'll do that next right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Giants warm-up show. My next guest writes great stuff on a beat writer. She writes for the Chronicle. She covers the Giants. She's fantastic when we do interviews. Let's welcome in Shayna Rubin. Shayna, how are you doing today?
Hey, Bill, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You know, yesterday was just disappointing. Of course, the Giants go to Sacramento the first time they play at Sutter Health Field, and they went dismal again. The offense struggled after two great games in Arizona where they scored 13 runs, 22 hits, and yesterday it just didn't look like the same team.
I know I was a little surprised. I think that was a perfect opportunity for them to carry over whatever momentum they had in Arizona offensively. And it's, that's where you can kind of pop off a little bit in Sacramento, and they completely fell flat. They haven't been good against lefties all year, but I don't know if that's an excuse at this point. It was definitely a little surprising to see.
Shane, in the post-game remarks, Bob Melvin was upset about the three errors, one by Ramos, one by Wisely, and then one by Alcantara, who was filling in at third base. He's really stickle on defense. Have you really listened to some of the things he said that he gets really, really upset when they make errors?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of indicative of who they see themselves identity wise. I think if they're not going to have a consistent offense, which I think they're not banking on, but they're banking on being able to have a strong floor or high floor when it comes to pitching and defense. And I know it's probably not ideal right now without Chapman. He really anchors the entire stability of their infield defense and their defense as a whole. And Schmidt's really do, and they're kind of, they're a little more shallow in terms of their best gloves. But I think that because they're on playing clean baseball, having good pitching, good defense, when those little things cost them, it really just irks everybody there. Because that's supposed to be the thing that they're best at. That's supposed to be the thing that is their most consistent quality. That's the thing that's supposed to give them the strongest safety net. So I think that when it falters, it feels a little bit unstable.
Shane, the 10-game road trip is definitely not going right for the Giants. They're 3-5, losing 2 out of the 3 of the White Sox, coming back after an 0-2 start against the Diamondbacks and winning their last two. These next two games, today and tomorrow, are very important because they come home to a tough homestand where they face the Phillies for 3. They have a day off. And, of course, the Dodgers coming to Oracle Park the first time in 2025.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's interesting. This was supposed to be, and then the Marlins series before. It's a stretch of 16 straight games, so that presented a challenge in itself. But this was supposed to be an opportunity for them to create a little separation, even in the standings, and kind of create a strong footing in the wild card race. Maybe even challenge the Dodgers in the division standings. That one point not long ago when they were in LA, they were tied for first. So it's just a huge missed opportunity, and they're playing some of their worst baseball against teams that are under 500 or close to it. So it's not good timing, especially as you said with the Phillies and the Dodgers coming to town, because they're on, not only say they're on thin ice, but it would have been good for them to have a little momentum heading into those series. And now those, especially the Dodgers series, could really end the first half on a sour note. So it's they're not happy about it. They were very unhappy about it in Chicago, about the way things were going. Arizona obviously ended on a happier note, but I think that they overall just not pleased with how they've been playing.
Well, since the bad play, Buster Posey came out Tuesday and really made a big mark as he's re-signed Bob Melvin and the coaching staff, and really came out and said, hey, my coaching staff's done a great job. Really proud of them. If really anybody takes the blame, it's me, because I put the roster on. When he came out those comments, that's pretty big for a president of baseball operations. You covered it, you saw it, you heard it. What did you think about the move, especially July 1st?
Yeah, it was surprising. The timing was surprising. And I think that they may not want to say it forthright, but I think it was pretty intentional. I think that the coaching staff was getting a lot of heat for some of the mistakes and some of just the way that the offense was going when they're trying so hard to score more than 2 runs or 1 run in a game. Then they're kind of applying pressure on themselves. You see Matt Williams trying to make the most of scoring opportunities and sending runners home, and it not always paying off, and the blame falling on the hitting coach. And I think that it was a symbolic uh, vote of confidence for Buster in the coaching staff to sort of give his say that he believes in them. I think it more than anything, it's just it was his way of jumping in and saying, I I trust what's going on here, publicly backing the coaching staff when they were getting some heat, publicly, and also publicly in a way, I don't want to say calling out, but uh, putting not maybe putting the not putting the players on notice, but making it known that this is a team we believe in, and if you guys want to go to where we think you can go, then you have to start performing. And sometimes it's just as simple as that. You have a good offense. You have Rafael Devers in the house. You have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, and it's one of those moments where he said, I'm checking in again to say that I believe, and you guys got to start producing.
That voice you hear in the KNBR Giants warm-up show is Shayna Rubin. You can follow her on X at Shayna Rubin, and it's SHAYNARUBIN. Does a great job covering the Giants. Let's talk a little bit about Logan Webb today. A big start for him. The Giants do need to rebound. A possibility of being on the NL All-Stars, of course, with Robbie Ray, but he's been fantastic. But what's going to be pressured about him is coming back home. He grew up in Rockland. A lot of friends and family will be there. A little added pressure, but this is a big game for him, I believe.
Yeah, it's definitely a big game. I think it's a big game for the entire team, and it's probably best that he's the one on the mound for this game. I mean, Sutter Health Park is a tough ballpark for any pitcher, so there's always that added element to uh, the series. But he's been he and Robbie Ray and him especially have been a stabilizing force for this team. I think that ground ball pitcher. I think that he's. I'm not going to say he's a lock, but I think that he's uh, done everything he can to position himself to be an all-star, and I think that that's at this moment not necessarily at front of mind. I think that if they want to end this road trip on a strong note, they can maybe win the series. That they definitely could use a good Logan Webb start right now.
Well, going back to last night's game, Justin Verlander just didn't have it. I mean, he was throwing a lot of strikes, a lot of them right down the middle or the ball up. At the end of the game, he just says, I was hittable today. I just couldn't throw the ball down at times. He threw very good with numbers when you look at fastball control. At 95, he threw 25 fastballs, 17 sliders, a few changeups, curveballs. But he's also missing in that 0-2 count where he really throws a ball up. And they hit him pretty hard. They had 4 doubles in the second inning, and he ended up only going 3 innings. I'm sure the Giants are going to give him another opportunity. His next start will be against Philadelphia on Wednesday. Is there any discussion about him coming out of the rotation, or is this, they're just going to wither away and see what he can pull off?
I definitely haven't heard any discussion about him coming out of the rotation. I think when you have someone like that in house, you have to stick with it. But it's definitely. I mean, he's also after in Chicago, he had a very strong start, and he's had of late more good starts, not plenty of quality starts, but the mistakes that he makes are extremely costly. So I don't think that I haven't heard any conversations about there being any changes, but it's definitely, uh, you know, notable that they haven't, that he hasn't won a game, and that they don't necessarily win when he's on the mound. So it's definitely a conversation to have when it comes to the trade deadline, and if they want to refortify some of the or find another pitcher to create more of a safety net in the rotation. And pitching is a deep spot for them organizationally, but I could imagine that might be something that they want to fortify at the big league level, just to create more of a safety net there. Not saying that that's going to happen, but might be of consideration.
Shane Aruma joined me for a few more minutes on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. It looks like Matt Chapman could be in the lineup today. We haven't seen the lineup yet, but played in Reno yesterday, had 4 at-bats, played third base. The hand seems like it's okay. This is a big boost for this lineup, especially when you're looking at him possibly in the middle of it. Give him a little boost with that hitting part of it, and this is something the Giants need, especially from him.
Yeah, I think just energy wise too, the fact that he wasn't with the team in Chicago, and I think you kind of feel his absence there is because he's very much the one of the main energy sources for the clubhouse, and he's definitely a clubhouse leader. So I think that having him back in the lineup, hitting, his defense is really just elevates everything that they do. So having him back, I think, could maybe spark something that they need just heading into the home stretch of this first half.
Well, Shane, as we finish out here, the Giants fans sure fill Sutter Health Park on Friday, the 4th of July. I'm sure we're going to see that the next 2 days, supposedly tonight at 7:05 first pitch. What a great little ballpark. But boy, a lot of A's fans as well as athletic players are just really negative about it. What have you seen? I know you didn't go to the game last night, but watching this, it's a AAA ballpark. The ball definitely flies out of there.
Yeah, I mean it's a unique experience for everybody. It feels like a minor league. It's a minor league ballpark. I mean, you've heard Luis Severino speak openly about it, how challenging it is, and I think that that's probably indicative of what most players how they feel about it. It's I was there for the A's Yankees series, and something that the Yankees players were talking about, and this was a couple months ago, but the winds just create such a strange uh, experience for hitters. And it's not necessarily that it's always windy there, but that there's fewer buildings and decks there's no like big upper deck to protect or block the winds. So there's a lot of adjustments for both pitchers mound wise and hitters just environment wise that makes it such a odd experience for players to adjust to.
Shane, a pleasure once again having you come on. It was a great time talking to you about a lot of different things the Giants are up against, and we'll see if Logan Webb can put a gem on the game today and get a win. But thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
That was Shayna Rubin on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
The show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warmup on KNBR, the sports leader.
Back on the KNBR Giants warm-up show with Bill Laskey as we get you ready for that first pitch, 7:05. Let's give you a little note on here as the Giants and the Athletics lineups have been posted. And here's the lineup that Bob Melvin put out there for the 47 and 42 San Francisco Giants. Leading off, playing right field, hitting .250, Mike Yastrzemski. Hitting second, playing left field, hitting .274, Elliot Ramos. The third hitter, the DH, Rafael Devers, hitting .261. Here's the guy we've been waiting for to be back in the lineup, batting fourth, playing third base, hitting .243, Matt Chapman. Hitting fifth, playing center field, hitting .244, Jung-Hoo Lee. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, hitting .219, Willie Adames. The seventh hitter, playing first base, hitting .254, Dominic Smith. The eighth hitter, behind the plate, Patrick Bailey, hitting .191. And batting ninth, hitting .194, hit his first home run yesterday, is Brett Wisely playing second base. The lineup once again, Yastrzemski, Ramos, Devers, Chapman, Lee, Adames, Smith, Bailey, and Wisely for Bob Melvin's 47 and 42 San Francisco Giants. Going to see what Mark Kotze put down. The Athletics 37 and 53 for the 2025 season. Leading off, playing right field, hitting .255, Lawrence Butler. Hitting second, the shortstop, the American League starting shortstop, hitting .337, Jacob Wilson. Batting third, their designated hitter, hitting .273, Brett Worker. Hitting fourth, the first baseman, hitting .240, Nick Kurtz. Batting fifth for the Athletics, the catcher, hitting .242, Shea Langoliers. Hitting sixth, playing left field, hitting .253, Tyler Soderstrom. Hitting seventh, playing third base, batting .220, Max Muncy. Batting eighth, playing second base, hasn't had a hit yet. His first game was yesterday, coming off the IL, Zach Geloff. And hitting ninth, who hit a home run, hit a bomb yesterday, the talented Athletic center fielder hitting .200, Denzel Clark. Butler, Wilson, Rooker, Kurtz, Langoliers, Soderstrom, Muncy, Geloff, and Clark. That's the lineup that the Athletics throw out there tonight. First pitch, 7:05. Coming up next, I dive into the Athletics with Shooty Babbitt. He's 23 years. He's an analyst at NBC Bay Area. He's covered them, done some radio, and he's done some TV. But this is a great time to talk to Shooty. Shooty does a lot of things with the Athletics, and he's a Major League scout for him. Coming up next, Shooty Babbitt and I talk a little bit about the Athletics, the 2025 year. That's coming up next right here on the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR, the sports leader.
Isn't too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Giants warm-up show as we get you prepared for game number 2 with the San Francisco Giants against the Athletics up at Sutter Health Park. To help me get you ready, I'm going to my good friend, of course, 23rd year as an analyst at NBC Bay Area. He did the Oakland A's, now he's doing the Athletics pre- and post-game show. Good friend, let's bring in my friend, Mac Babbitt. We call him Shooty. Shooty, how are you today?
Big Duke, I'm doing fantastic, my friend. How are you today?
Well, after that shellacking last night, I got to ask you about this hitting team. They had 9 extra base hits, 6 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, one by the American League Rookie June Player of the month of June, Nick Kurtz, and also Denzel Clark really ripped one out in the left center field. What about this bashing they did on the Giants last night?
Oh man, I guess they just wanted to contribute to the fireworks on the 4th of July, and they did their part, man. It was great to see. It's been a rough going. This team has had a very difficult schedule. I know you've got to play who's in front of you, but this is a young team that's still trying to get their feet underneath them, and it's been a rough go. So to have a outbreak like they did last night in front of the home crowd, San Francisco A's baseball, man, it's always been a great time, and fortunately for us, it was a little more fun than it was for the Giants fans last night. But, man, it was outstanding. We've got some young players that have a chance to do some damage. And you mentioned a couple in Kurtz and Clark, and they're full of a conglomeration of young guys that played together in the minor leagues and that are now playing together in the big leagues and finding out, what a tough job it is. But, man, having some success at times will only build the confidence. And after last night, it's got to be at an all-time high.
Shooty, one of the biggest things I saw last night was opposite field hitting. They really did an outstanding job going the opposite way, waiting for that ball to get into strike zone a little deeper. Have you seen a lot of this lately by the Athletics?
Yes, and for the simple reason that you've got some young, inexperienced hitters that are very anxious, trying to do damage. And I think Darren Bush and Aldretti, they're doing a tremendous job over there with these young kids in the lab, getting them to understand the only thing that you can control is seeing the baseball and hitting the baseball. And after it leaves the bat, you have no control. And when you've got so much velocity nowadays, all you have to do is be short to the baseball. You see a lot of guys with these leg kicks, leg lifts, and a lot of things going on at the plate. But you got to spread out. You got to put the ball in play, and you got to be quick with your decision. So I just think that with Denzel especially, this is a kid that's long and gangly. He's still trying to find his body. I mean, gee, Bernice, you look at him up close. I mean, he barely has a mustache. I mean, the body is so young and the upside is so high. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of detail, paid attention, just seeing the ball, hitting the ball the other way, because B Dog, if you can do that, that inside fastball is more instinct thing, and you're going to turn on that bad boy. But pitchers, they pitch to get hitters out and to swing at mistakes, and I think that's what they're trying to do, is just reduce the amount of mistakes that they're making as far as offering at pitchers pitches and seeing something. There's a term used nowadays in baseball called controlling the zone. And I think pretty much that's the kind of idea that they have at the plate.
That voice you hear in the KNBR Giants warm-up show, 32 years as a Major League Scout, Shooty Babbitt. I want to talk a little bit about J.P. Sears. His last outing against the Yankees only gave up a couple of hits. He was dialed in from the first pitch, 9 up, 9 down, got in a little trouble in the fourth and the fifth inning, wiggled out of it. But overall, just a great game by J.P. Sears.
Yeah, he's the epitome what I would like to see a lot more of in our game, because if you see the lack of wealth as far as pitchers are concerned in numbers, all these guys are blowing out. They're buying into this spin rate and all these different things, and that's fine and dandy if you're built and equipped to add that type of stuff to your repertoire. But there is no replacement for guys who have command and feel, knowing how to read barrels, how to look at feet in the box, how to read swings, how to attack different parts of the zone. JP Sears is a guy that don't throw many balls straight. He has an idea what he's trying to do out there. And these guys, they look for soft contact and early contact. So he's a guy that for the past couple of years has taken the bump every 5 days, that's given the A's a chance to win every outing. And last night, I think he just had a little more chip on his shoulder. I mean, things hadn't been going his way of late, and last night we saw the JP Sears that we're accustomed to seeing.
Shooter, you style a lot on TV. I just love all your different outfits. When it comes to uniforms, are you a traditionalist? Do you like the City Connect uniforms teams are using? Do you like the Mother's Day pink outfits they all wear, or in Father's Day or blue? And then yesterday, the 4th of July, guys wearing a blue sock and a red sock, a blue shoe, a red shoe. It was just all colorful. It didn't match a lot when you look at the A's colors and the Giants colors. It just didn't look that great. But again, we're celebrating 4th of July. What did you think of all that?
First of all, Bill, I want to first thank you for all the compliments that you bestow upon me. People like yourself are the ones that motivate me to make sure when I do show up, I got to show up right and tight. So I appreciate that. The game has changed. And the
Mm-hmm.
last thing that I'm going to sit up here do and be an old curmudgeon and talk about how it used to be with the traditional uniforms. I just think there's no league bigger than the big leagues, and there is a responsibility to make sure that you represent that, pardon me, every time that you take the field. Well, we are in an era where they say let the kids have fun. Sometimes I think they go a little bit over the top with it. But as long as that we're growing the game and we're creating interest for younger kids, we don't want to be stale, but we want to be respectful. And I think sometimes they may, I'm not crazy about all of them. Sometimes I think they look a little slick, but when I look at all the traditional uniforms, even the San Francisco Giants uniform and the Dodgers uniform and the A's whites, I mean, my goodness, it's hard to find anything much more beautiful than those uniforms. But if it was me, I just think that sometimes we let the rope out a little too long and the kids take it and go with it. I think merit um, should be posed in a lot of different of these situations. I mean, the Mother's Day and the pink and the
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day with the blue, I think that's tremendous. I mean, the days that we celebrate other things, I think it's fine. But not making too big of a habit of it would be just fine with me.
Shooter, you love defense. You play great in the middle infield. And I'm looking at the Athletics middle of the field, and you see Jacob Wilson playing shortstop and Denzel Clark playing center field. Two outstanding young players, Jacob Wilson being 23, Denzel Clark being 25. And both of them could be Gold Glove winners this year. Watching them daily as you do, what brings it out, the defensive side that you love about
They're ball hogs.
them?
They want to make plays. There's not a ball that goes up that Denzel doesn't think that he can get. And most of the time, he gets everything. He's young, athletic, he's eager. He's a great student of the game. He's a kid that has not played a whole lot of baseball. And defensively, athletically, if you look at the DNA with his mom and dad, you can see why this physical specimen looks the way that he does. But he takes the pride. And Jacob Wilson, I mean, the DNA, the pedigree. I mean, his dad was a successful big leaguer, had 200 hits in the major leagues. This kid grew up in a big league clubhouse and around the game. And just being around these kids, you can tell the upbringing from their parents. They've got their head on straight. They don't dig themselves too much. They listen. They're receptive. They're professional. I think the A's do a tremendous job preparing these guys for the media. Each time you see them in front of the microphone, they don't talk too much about themselves. They don't talk too long. They're right to the point. And the one thing about it, they're gracious for being in the major leagues. And I just think it's a reflection of what Keith Lipman had been doing down in the minor leagues with these kids, getting them prepared. And then you look at Big Spraggy. I mean, he just took the baton and just ran with it. A guy with a lot of success and major league pedigree. And we're fortunate to have those type of guys leading and mentoring our kids. But they do a tremendous job working. They work hard. And when you work hard, it pays off because you see it on the field. But, yeah, give the kids the credit because they're putting the work in.
A few more minutes with the Berkeley High School Hall of Famer. He was inducted in 2006, Shooty Babbitt on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. One of the corners that I've been watching a lot lately is Lawrence Butler, the 24-year-old playing fantastic defense. Only has one error this year, but his numbers are getting better. 11 home runs, 34 RBIs, 14 stolen bases, is leading the Athletics when he gets on base. He's quick, he's fast, he's a road runner. What have you seen out of him that's making him better this year?
Lawrence is this kid that when he was sent to AAA last year and speaking with some of the players that were still in the big leagues and we were struggling a little bit, and they said that this place was always better when Lawrence Butler was in this clubhouse. And he has this magnetic personality. He wants to be the center of attraction when the game starts because he loves the game. If you watch the drip that he has, I mean, people that don't know him, you know how we are in society. Sometimes we get the wrong perception of the person.
Mm-hmm.
But this kid is a tremendous kid, one of the most lovable human beings that you would meet. And he loves the game. Hey, I'm a little jealous. I like to flat have a little, they called me a hot dog back in the day. Put a little mustard on that thing. You feel good, look good, you play good. But the skill set is just off the chain, and the maturation and the growth over the past couple of years has been abundant. I mean, there were teams that saw him in the minor league struggling a little bit. Sacramento's very own Kevin Boutte used to talk about it all the time. Boy, I wish I can acquire Lawrence Butler. I want Lawrence Butler, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of him. He was crude. He grew up with those kids, Michael Harrison, those kids in Georgia, so with Marquise Grissom. So they did a tremendous job with these kids. But, man, he has a chance to be a star. There are many things that he could do that he can't do. There's still a lot that he has to learn. Sometimes he's got to hone it in a little bit. I think sometimes he gets in his feelings a little bit and he gets a little frustrated. And he can kind of get in a rut a little bit. But it's not because of lack of care. It's because how much he wants to produce and how much he wants to win. But, man, oh, man, yeah, he is a special player. And he's got a chance to be a really good one.
Shooty, playing second base in the big leagues as you did, I'm sure you would have loved to have a target like Nick Kurtz playing first base. 6'6", 240, left-handed on top of it. His defensive skills have been up and down. Of course, he's learning to play first base at the big league level. But also, he was an American League Player of the Month of June, where he hit 264, 7 home runs. He had 2 walk-off home runs against the Astros. And boy, yesterday he hit another bomb off the Giants. He's getting comfortable playing first base. I think that's the biggest thing that he has to overcome. But at the plate, he's a nemesis for pitchers.
Target. Love to play second base now. Are you kidding me? The targets I had to worry about was Don Baylor, Dave Winfield, Hal McRae, Bobby Grich. They would try to take you into the left field bleachers if they had a chance. So by the way that the game has changed a little bit now and guys are veering off, no one slides in, taking second base, and I would love to flash back and play again. But to speak on Nick Kurtz, Nick King Kong Kurtz is my nickname for this kid. He is so special. When he steps on the field in the box, you can't help but notice him because he's 6 foot forever. He's got a unique setup. Pitchers are trying to get up in there, as you see when you hang one of them cement mixers up in there, what kind of damage that he can do because he opens up that plate so much. It's almost Otani-like or Japanese hitter-like. You think that they're leaking a little bit in their swing, but all they're doing is giving you more play to attack, but also is giving me more bat to throw at you too. So very unique, great hitter at Wake Forest. We spoke with Antonio Perez on the show one day, and he spoke volumes about knowing when Nick Kurtz is going well. When he's hitting the ball the other way, you know he's locked in. And, man, he got power to all fields, and I don't think people's really got a chance to see him much at first base because he has elevated everybody's game because there's really not many bad throws over there. He does a great job on that short hop where he's able to back up into foul territory and turn that short hop into a long hop. And it's a very difficult play, especially for a long guy like that. But, oh, man, another guy who just forced his way into the big leagues. He went down to AAA, and, they were talking about bringing him up. And at that time, Soderstrom was having a great year early on, and I didn't see no reason why they should rush this kid to get up there. But you know what? The good ones force their way to the big leagues, not on status, not on hype, but on merit. And he belongs there, and he's going to be there for a long period of time.
Shooty, as we finish up here, January 11th through January 17, 2026, Big League Coach and Fantasy Camp. You were part of it last year, your first year. You had a blast. Of course, this year we're doing it over again. Tell the listeners a little bit about that camp.
Great camp, Bill. And, as you know, for the past 10, 11 years, I've been in the AA's fantasy camp because of things happened. There hadn't been a camp. And for you to invite me over to your camp to be around baseball fans, because it's baseball. Once you get in there, you'll see that there are people from all different teams. And it's not so much that they want to be right. They just want to be around other baseball players, and they know what kind of camp that you put on for years. I've been with you for a long time, Bill, Celebrity Connection and all the different places we've gone and just gone and celebrated and raised a game of baseball. And that's the most beautiful thing about it. I love the way the camp is run. You're not spending all day long on the field where the guys are dead and not ready to play the next day. They're excited. Tim Flannery came in and just wowed everybody last year and what he did with his performance. So I'm looking forward to maybe I could give him a chance to name another one of his songs that's probably going to be a hit. I'm going to be looking for some of my what they call it stuff when you get money for your songs and stuff, Bill.
Well, hey, any kind of money coming in, Shooty, we all accept it, right? But hey, I want to thank you for your time today, and of course for those interested to join Big League Coaching, go to bigleaguecoaching.org. The website's up there. Got a great picture of Shooty and a lot of my coaches coming in there, but it's another week of good baseball in Scottsdale, Arizona. Looking forward again, Shooty. But again, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Bill. The camp is great coaches, great fun, and great times, man. So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope we don't whoop y'all too bad this weekend, but I know you got something dangerous on the mound for us today. So, man, let's just have a great baseball game, man, and look forward to seeing you.
That was Shooty Babbitt on the KNBR Giants Warm-Up Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
Back on the Giants KNBR warm-up show with Bill Laskey as we keep moving toward that first pitch at 7:05, and we're going to dive into both the starting pitchers right now. For the Athletics, he's got his 19th start today, Luis Severino. Severino in the month of June, he had 6 starts, 1-5 with a 7.7 earned run average, and 6 starts going 32 2/3 innings, 44 hits, 28 earned runs. Terrible month for Severino. His last couple starts, though, even got worse when you look at what he did against the Tigers. We went 5 innings, 7 runs, 7 earned. And then he pitched against the Yankees. Both those games were losses. He went 3 2/3, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. He pitched against the Giants in May, pitched pretty well at Oracle Park. He got a no decision. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So the Giants have definitely seen him. Overall numbers, 104 1/3 innings, 110 hits, 34 walks, 71 strikeouts, 59 earned runs. And, of course, he gives up the long ball at Sutter Health Park. He's given up 11 home runs already on the year. On the other side, the orange and black San Francisco Giants putting their ace out there. He's on his 19th start, Logan Webb. He's 7-6 with a 2.6 earned run average. The month of June, he pitched outstanding. In 6 starts, 2-1, went 40 1/3 innings, 34 hits, 10 earned runs. The numbers are even better, 7 walks and 43 strikeouts. Gave up 3 home runs. The month of June, a 2.23 earned run average. Overall numbers are outstanding once again, 113 2/3 innings, 106 hits, 33 earned runs. He doesn't walk much, 24 walks with 127 strikeouts. Logan Webb on the hill against Luis Severino. That's first pitch at 7:05. My next guest, I've got to know her way back when Vita Blue and I did television at NBC Bay Area. Jessica Kleinschmidt was one of those interns that just gravitated. She gave us information. She set us up. She propped us. She told us what to do. It was just a young lady that we didn't know too much of. But as she got better in the sport of the NBC Bay Area, she started working with the Athletics. She worked in the minor leagues. She's worked hard at what she's done. Now she's up in Sacramento working with the Athletics as a multimedia journalist, doing several different interviews, working with Mark Kotze. And you know what? Today was a day where I wanted to sit down and talk to her. So this was earlier today. I caught up with her. Sit back and relax because this little lady is going somewhere. Jessica Kleinschmidt coming up next right here on the Warm-Up Show on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Giants Warmup on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Giants Warm-Up Show with Bill Laskey. I'm excited to bring a friend on, and she's doing a great job with the Athletics. She started out with me and Vida Blue working at Comcast when we did TV together. Let's bring in my friend Jessica Kleinschmidt. Jessica, how are you today?
I'm good. And yeah, I remember that show with you and Vida. I think about it all the time. And I'm just so appreciative that you have me on. It means a lot.
Well, you've done a great job all the way back there. You were giving us notes and information, and would sit by your desk and you prop us and prep us and all the different things you did. And then you moved on, and you moved on with the Oakland Athletics at the Coliseum. Tell us those first couple steps you did.
Wow. Well, it's kind of a full circle moment. When I was, 11 or 12, I went to my first A's game, and driving back, I asked my dad, do girls cover baseball? And at the time, not really. And he said, not really, but like, let's see if we can figure something out. So for me, it was about trying to do everything and create that path. You know, you saw me at the computer. I was making content, I was doing a lot of research, but I also wanted to present that research. So for me to start out just kind of being in front of the editorial aspect and switch that into showing and telling everybody about everything that I've been reporting was kind of like that. With the A's now, I'm able to do a little bit of everything. I'm writing, I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing radio and TV, and that's what makes my heart happy when I'm not just doing the same thing over and over again. And of course, the guys have been great. It's been really interesting. It's my 7th season, so I've seen a lot of different eras of this game, and especially with this team and the move and everything. So it's just been wonderful. The ups and downs that you get to appreciate, as you know, as a player, you get to watch that, and a lot of debuts and retirements. It's just been wonderful.
Well, the interviews have been fantastic. Mark Kotze being one of your best ones. He and you just became very good friends, and he's open with you, and you cover him so well with the Athletics now in Sacramento. But the interviews are big and for you, because you sit down and you kind of get the inside information from them, how they got through the minor leagues, how they got to the big leagues, and their adjustments. And a lot of these guys, Jessica, are really young players. How do you get that information out of them?
I love that question. I think, I got my start in the minors too, and it was a grind. And I just see what they go through and I watch it. Everybody pulls the tarp. I was a reporter and I was pulling tarp for the Reno Aces, and seeing all the little nuances they go through. You remember, these guys are former top prospects, and they put that stamp on them. So I know the pressure. And as a former girl baseball player, I just kind of know the aspect. But for me, it's just, I really want people to know the guy, his heartbeat underneath the uniform. And I think that that's where it's easier to start, because then eventually you can ask the baseball questions. And also for me, I want to do right by them and make sure that when I go on TV or the radio, I'm doing all the right things. And for me, starting out, just kind of introducing myself as a human being and a reporter. And I don't, throw them underneath the bus. That's not kind of my MO. But I think from that perspective, and being a really good storyteller, and they see me, they hear me, so they know that they're giving me the right information and I'm presenting it the right way. And sometimes I'm just genuinely curious. I want to know why they threw that pitch or the mentality behind it. I think that's a big thing too. Like, the numbers are there. Sport is defined by numbers, but before that, I want to know what was going on in your mind when this happened. And Dalton Jeffries, one of my favorite guys to ever talk to, said the journey is way more important than the result. And so if they have one or the other or both, they're going to give you more than just what's going on with the exit velo and everything else with that new pitch that they introduced into their repertoire. That stuff is way more important to me, because then you can introduce the numbers.
That voice you hear on the KNBR Giants warm-up show is a good friend of mine, Jessica Kleinschmidt. She's a multimedia journalist for the Athletics. We have to talk about that star player, the starting shortstop for the American League 2025 All-Star Game, and that's Jacob Wilson, a #1 pick back in 2023, the 6th picked overall at 23 years old, just doing sensational things on the field as a defensive shortstop. But boy, oh boy, he can hit, as he's hitting 339 going into tonight's game.
I don't even know where to start. And it's my favorite thing when I hear, I don't know what else to describe Jacob Wilson as that hasn't been spoken about. And I actually talked to him last year, and it was him, Daz Cameron, and Tyler Nevin. They were all sitting on the bench together their dads are former professional baseball players, especially in the bigs, and they were used to being in a clubhouse. And they thought their friends, Bill, also did that. So they go to recess and be like, "What team does your dad play for?" And they didn't realize that was that FP Santangelo Jr. Same thing. And so it's one of like they to be around the game like they were. The baseball IQ is certainly there. The defensive capabilities that you can see Jack showed him is one of the things. But the mentality is what he always talks about, because Jack told him about the MLB mentality, how to get to the bigs first and foremost. And Max Muncy, the current A's Max Muncy, also learned from Jack Wilson because those two went to high school together. And I think that that's what kind of started everything. And the bat to ball skills, it's just insane. Like, and you don't casually mention somebody in the same sentence as Tony Gwynn. You just don't do that. And I see a lot of Ichiro Suzuki in him just because there's like a flawlessness to it. And he's also very competitive. If he doesn't hit the ball, he just wants to, like, what just happened? Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not hitting the ball? And it's like, yeah, you're going to have to, struggle with that 340 average. It's got to be hard. But I think from him, just watching him grow over the last couple of seasons has been fantastic. Batting 100 or 400 in the PCL. What more can you do? So he gets his big league call up. Defensively, I mentioned that baseball IQ. The bat to ball skills is just absolutely insane. I know people around the league really respect him. And he's just such a good guy to represent the A's because it's the young talent. He went through the minors very quickly, and I think that's happening a lot more in the current era. But for him to represent the team, the person he is off the field is just as great. And to see all the media attention he's getting has been wonderful. And to know that the fans appreciated that too. I know the fans are a huge proponent of getting him to the All-Star game. Is just great to see, because on the West Coast, East Coast guys aren't really watching, or East Coast girls aren't really watching. So he got the attention that he deserves, and the numbers kind of follow that.
Jessica, you talk to him regularly. He's the first ever fan-elected rookie shortstop that's going to start in an all-star game. His dad was an all-star also in 2004, and we talked to Jack Wilson, very good player back in the day with the Pirates and the Braves. Has it sunk into him yet? Has it sunk in that fans really wanted to see him start this game? Because at 23 years old, his rookie year was last year. Didn't play a lot, but this is really his first year at 162 games. Have you seen any difference from him yet?
You know what? With him, he's very even keeled, which, as you know, that is kind of what separates the great from the good. And every time I asked him specifically about what's helped him this season, he makes it about everybody else around him. He's mentioned his family, which of course is Jack Wilson, his teammates, because the team is just they're so close. And I think that aspect goes to show that he knows there's a lot of external factors there too. And he mentions the fans, and he's very aware, especially being 23, social media is very prominent in your life. And for him to know that they were a part of that, he very much understands that. But he's also grown so much. I had one of the first interviews with him. When you're a first round draft pick, you get to work out with the team. So he was out at the Coliseum, and very green as far as his interview aspects go. And I remember talking to him probably about a month ago, and I was like, Jacob, you've grown so much. Because obviously when you're getting a lot of interview requests in media, you're going to be in front of the camera, you're going to have all those reps. And he's just grown so much from that aspect. But he does understand the responsibilities that are on him for more than just, being on the field. And I think that's why he's such a good ambassador for not only this team, but this up and coming young talent that's not what it used to be. And especially for him, who has a phenomenal defensive game and the offensive game, it's just wonderful. And I think from the shortstop perspective, where we're kind of bringing back more power into that, he still hasn't even peaked in his power aspect either. Let's not forget that. Once the balls start going over the fence a little bit more, he's just going to be untouchable. So he's very aware of everything that he needs, but he also stays very even keeled about it.
Jessica Kleinsmith joining me for a few more minutes on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. A lot of A's fans go up to Sutter Health Field. They complain a lot. Athletic players, complain a lot, but it's a AAA ballpark. Sutter Health Park is a good AAA ballpark. It is a lot better than the Tampa Bay spring training ballpark that they play in. But tonight's pitcher, Luis Severino, really complains about it a lot. He's 2-9 with a 5.09 earned run average, talking about wanting to get traded, doesn't want to play there anymore. What does that do for the tamper of the team? I mean, he brings down the team by saying these comments, but yet they play very well up there, just like they did last night. What do you see out of Luis Severino?
For Luis, I really appreciate his outspokenness because I've asked him a bunch just like what it's like playing. As far as pitching goes, I know they're into their routine and those small things can kind of shift. And you look up his road to home splits, he made this joke like, if this was only about my or my road numbers, I'd get the freaking Cy Young Award. So the thing about Sevy, which I really appreciated, is he really did introduce the veteran presence of what it's like to be a Major League Baseball player. We know the monetary value that he was given in the offseason. We know his past. We know the high leverage situations that he's pitched in. But he actually really showed the guys what it's like to be a big leaguer. And that's like buying a ping pong table for the clubhouse, or buying Mitch Spence a Rolex because they switched uniform numbers. And I think from that perspective, it's not going to bring them down. They know who Luis is. They know if you're saying something, there's something behind that. I really always appreciate somebody for not lying to the media and not holding back. But like you mentioned, I mean, it is a AAA ballpark. I got my start in the PCL, so I'm very familiar with like the way that the balls fly, and especially how pitchers hated talking to me after a game. It's just one of those things where I know that he is very honest about it. And I think that's also might be good for the younger guys to show, like, just because he's here and he's showing what it's like to be a big leaguer, there are some downfalls to that as well. I mean, of all people, you're playing a game at the highest level of professionalism that has to do with failure. And you're not going to get anywhere if you don't know that lesson. And I think from seeing that, they respect Luis. And I do too, for the way that he's very open about things. And I think from those quote complaints, we're learning a lot about the ballpark. And I think just it's a very weird situation. We're not quite used to being in this situation. So I respect what he has to say, but yeah, I mean, I don't see it being negative toward the guys. They maintain like a really tight clubhouse. But of course I'm not there 24/7, but from when I am there for media availability, the guys seem to be getting along great. And, Luis has taught me a lot about the game, and sometimes it's not always going to be positive aspects to that.
Jessica, what a pleasure having you on the warm up show. Continued success from where we started to where you are now. You've been fantastic. I'm really proud of you. Continued success, my friend.
Thank you, Bill. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
That was Jessica Kleinschmidt on the KNBR Giants warm up show. More coming up next, right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
Back on KNBR with Bill Laskey. I'm going to get to some transactions that happened before the game today. Mason Black was optioned back to Sacramento, and Sergio Alcantara was designated for assignment, so he isn't going back to AAA right now. And what happened is Tristan Beck got recalled to give him another arm out of the bullpen, but the biggest news is Matt Chapman reinstated from the IL. He felt great yesterday after playing in Reno. He is now batting fourth. The Giants were 9-13 when Matt Chapman was injured, and that was over a month. So we'll see what he does tonight. He's batting fourth after Rafael Devers. Coming up next, I have a good chance to talk to my buddy. He was at KTVU for over 40 years, covered all type of sports. I can't wait to talk to him. My good friend Mark Abani is next with me right here on the KNBR Giants Warm-Up Show. That's coming up next right here on the Sports Leader.
In orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Giants Warm-Up Show. My guest, what a great friend of mine. He worked at Channel 2 KTVU for 43 years as a sports director, retired now, big Giants fan. Let's bring in Mark Abanius. Mark, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, happy holiday weekend to you, Bill. How's everything?
Well, it was great until we watched that game last night. The fireworks were flying at Sutter Health Park as the Athletics had 6 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. After the Giants had 2 great games, Mark, in Arizona to even that series, they ended up having 13 runs in 2 games, 22 hits, and yesterday, J.P. Sears just put zeros on the board against them.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. And in all transparency, I couldn't watch the whole game. And I have to tell you, I thought they had their mojo back, kind of like what you alluded to with the 2 final games of the Arizona series. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let's sweep the A's, which sounds comical now, and get a little 5-game win streak going as you get into getting ready for the Philadelphia Phils and the Dodgers. Back-to-back tough tests right there, no doubt. But it just was disheartening. That's all I can say. The at bats looked a little bit dispirited to me. And then you look at a young, exuberant team like the A's just putting bat to ball consistently, and you're like, what is going on here? It's like an optical illusion, and it's depressing for Giant fans.
Well, the Giants went on a 10-game road trip. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Chicago White Sox. They evened out with the Diamondbacks 2-2, 0-1 against the Athletics going into tonight's game. First pitch 7:05. I think it's a big start for Logan Webb. He's got to get this team back in a winning streak here. Get him a good game up at Sutter Health Ballpark. Going against Luis Severino, who just can't stand pitching at that ballpark's come out already and saying, I want to be traded. a very negative thought about him. But what do you think about Logan Webb going into this game? Of course, he's from Rockland, right around the corner.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in Rockland back in the day when the Niners used to train there in the summer. In fact, right about this time of year, July. And Logan Webb's got to do what you know well, the term stopper. You know, you're ace of the staff. You're on a little bit of a bad skid. And even though they did win those final two games against Arizona, right now it's kind of a downer of a time of the season. And that's when you need your ace to step up. And I'm sure Logan will have plenty of familiar support up there, and he probably has to give out a lot of passes for tonight's game. And I think it'll pump him up. But, you know, that guy is so uber consistent. Love seeing him, and I'm sure he's probably fantasized about having a great start basically in his own backyard and doing it for the Giants because they need it. But as far as that ballpark goes, I mean, you got to admit, and I've got nothing. I always used to tell people, look, they'd be like, Mark, we see you on TV. We know you're not an A's fan. And I'd be like, no, no, you're wrong.
Hmm.
I love the Giants. I was a baseball fan before the A's ever even moved here from Kansas City. And I really, really like the A's. I'm upfront about it. The Giants are in my heart, and I really root for the A's, and they've got a young, exciting team. But you know, it's just that ballpark has, don't you think? Just come on, it's got a minor league feel. When you're watching the A's on TV and they're not playing the Giants, it just feels like you're watching a AAA game, and they got to go big league. And I don't blame a pitcher for not wanting to pitch there. But what I got to say about Severino is keep your mouth shut.
Hmm.
You know, don't ask to be traded, and don't make it all about you. Make it about the Oakland A's, you know?
Absolutely right, Mark. And he signed a big
I
deal
just
as a
called them
free
the
agent.
Oakland
You know,
A's.
he found
That's
signed a
funny.
big free agent contract to come over to pitch here. You know, he had to have known they're going to be playing in Sacramento. It wasn't at the Oakland Coliseum. His numbers are just bad. I mean, his last two starts, 7 runs against the Tigers, 5 runs against the Yankees. This is somebody maybe the Giants need. Get some early runs and add on and have a blowout game in their favor once in a while.
That's funny you say that, Bill, because I was just thinking, when's the last time the Giants won like last night as the Athletics did against the Giants? I mean, when's the last time the Giants put somebody away quick and early, 9-1 or
Hmm.
something like that? I mean, Logan Webb's been the opposite of that. He barely gets any support. You could probably say that about most Giant pitchers, but I think they're due to just hammer somebody and take a little pressure off the offense and get their confidence back. And that's the thing I think. And I'm curious about your opinion too, Bill. It just, to me, it's not only that the numbers aren't there for the Giants, but it's the quality of at bats that they're putting together. It just doesn't, you know, like. Tyler at second base, Fitzgerald. I mean, I think that guy's a great kid. You've told me you've interviewed him. He's a nice guy, but he looks absolutely lost at the plate. He doesn't swing at the ball. He waves at it.
Right.
And there's a lot of poor at bats right now. Quality at bats. Where did you even have a game plan going up there? Do you see that, Bill?
Mhm. I do. And the other one that just kind of disturbs me is Patrick Bailey striking out 4 times
Oh,
yesterday.
oh
And,
my
and the
God.
swing paths are terrible, one-handed sometimes. And you just wonder what their game plan is, just like you talked about, knowing what the pitchers are throwing, knowing different sequences, and it just fails. And we see it at times, Mark, when they had a real good game, but the consistency out of the offense is what they're lacking.
You know, and you brought up Patrick Bailey. I'm curious as to what you think about just this word, body language. Those two words put together. To me, Patrick Bailey, he's an enigma to me because he's a great defensive catcher, but he got lazy the other night, had a couple of pass balls, and I think he focuses so much on framing that
Mhm.
he's not focusing on the big picture. And you know, he's got a guy right in the same office, so to speak, Buster Posey, who
Mhm.
could probably help him, but he gives off a vibe like, okay, whatever. Just struck out. No big deal. And I'm sure that's not the case, but man, his body language and he's under 200. And if you've watched him in his previous 2 years, he gets worse after the All Star break. I mean, if it gets any worse than this, I don't care how good he is defensively. They've got some issues on this team right now. And like you, I try and keep it optimistic. I'm not here to bash anybody, but don't you think body language is a big deal for pitchers and the rest of the guys?
Oh, tremendous. And don't forget about the fly ball that he missed behind home plate yesterday, the pop up
Oh,
that he missed. And that's embarrassing for a catcher because the spin's going to take it back to the field. And he couldn't even get back on the ball. And you could see the expression on his face. He was embarrassed. That's an out. And one of the
yeah,
things I wanted to bring up to you, Mark Abani is joining me on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. Bob Melvin really barked at the defense yesterday. They made 3 errors. Ramos,
brutal.
Alcantara, and Wisely, but also Ramos bobbled a ball in left field. I talked about Bailey's missed ball. And today, Logan Webb has to depend on that defense. This is what he does. He gets ground ball outs. I love
Yeah.
what Bob Melvin said. He fired up the troops a little bit on the defensive side. And I think the Giants need to play better.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of defense is mental and how much you're into it. Maybe the Giants are tired. Give them a break, so to speak, with the end of the road trip. They played a night game in Arizona, flew, and immediately had to, put it together and lace them up and play again. But it's an approach. It's a mental approach. The 162 game schedule is a grind. Everybody knows that. But you look around, and there are a lot of teams that are going right through it. And conversely, look at the New York Yankees. Look at the Mets right now. I mean, these teams are dragging, and you've got to buckle up, man. It's tough, as you well know. The All-Star break is coming, and the Giants look like a fatigued team in a lot of ways, which is natural after a tough road trip. But come on, this is where the tough get tougher, and the schedule is not going to get any easier, and it's just disheartening. An effort like last night was really tough to watch because you put it up against a young team like the A's, and it was just like, what is going on here? They didn't show out well at all, and we know it's tough, but get it together. Mentally is where it starts, and that's what's tough to see. And so what my point is about the defense is, if you're not engaged mentally and you're thinking about your last at bat and what have you, you're not putting it together in the field. But the real stars are made with the guys who can separate and compartmentalize and not take their bad at bat out to the field. And that's what looked like was going on with me yesterday, with the Giants.
Well, Mark, a spark's going to be in this lineup today. Matt Chapman will be playing third base in the
Yes.
lineup today. He was in Reno last night. He had 4 at-bats. The hands feeling great. It's going to be a big plus when you look in this lineup and see Matt Chapman in the middle of the order. Another name that can bash the ball out of the ballpark. He's fantastic going the opposite way, and his defense will shine at third base. And this is something the Giants have lost in a month by losing him, and today's going to be that day. We'll see Matt Chapman back in the lineup.
Yeah, I think psychologically this is really going to help the Giants. And sure, you could look statistically at Matt Chapman's numbers and say, "Oh, well, they're not the greatest," but this guy brings so many intangibles to the team. He's a natural leader. He's Captain America, I call him, and I think he gives the other guys confidence. He exudes kind of a macho strength out there. And I think if you look back, you can trace a lot of the Giants' problems to when he got injured, diving back into first base. And even if he's not doing it statistically, this guy brings a lot. And I think you're going to see the Giants take a little swing upwards. There's going to be an uptick in their play. And I think Matt Chapman's so important. And if you think about it, they only had a few games with Devers in the lineup and Chapman as well. And I think it's going to have a very positive effect to Lee in center field. He's been lagging, and I think Ramos is going to be benefited by it. Everybody in the lineup, it just makes their lineup longer and more threatening. And I think you're definitely going to see an uptick in their play when Chapman comes back, and might take him a few games to totally get it together and get refreshed and with it and feel like he's at 100% high speed. But I think things are looking better in that way for sure.
Mark Abani is joining me in a few more minutes on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. You look at the schedule before the All-Star break, Mark.
Mm.
You got 2 games today, of course, 7:05. Tomorrow, 7:05, which is kind of strange for a Sunday night game. And
Yeah.
then they go and come home, and they got a tough schedule at home. They play 3 against the Phillies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, get an off day. And the Dodgers come into Oracle Park first time in the 2025 season. These 6 games are really going to be tough for the Giants, and they got to tread some water to stay over 500.
Yeah, no question about that. And I did like, conversely, talking about that Giants game, seeing the Dodgers staff give up 18 runs last night. That did my heart good, I have to admit. So the Dodgers obviously have had some pitching issues, but obviously they always prove tough for the Giants. And the Phillies have overtaken the Mets in the East. And they've got to get some sort of second win. See that All-Star break, know that a little respite is coming, and get it together energy wise. And that, taken back to Chapman, I think that's what's going to help him. That guy suffers no fools. He takes no nonsense if he thinks anybody's lacking out there, and I love to see it. But you're right, man. I mean, the Giants got off to that great start to begin the year, and it's been 500 or almost sub 500 since then. And they need to get re-energized. I don't know what it'll take, if it takes another move at the trade deadline, but you hate to see. What bothered me so much about the Farhan era was this constant shuffling up and down, bringing guys up. Next day, it's a different lineup, and injuries have created that right now. Wouldn't you know, with Chapman out, Schmidt was going to have his great
Mhm.
opportunity. He was finally looking like a big-time big leaguer, and then he gets hurt, and you gotta go with Wisely, and you're shuffling guys in and out. Wilmer all of a sudden even played a couple games at third, so you got to get back to that continuity on the roster, and the less moves you have to make, shuffling guys between, San Francisco and Sacramento, the less the better. And I think Buster agrees with that philosophy, but injuries have kind of created a lot of this problem for the Giants in the last couple of weeks. So that's why I have a lot of faith toward the second half of the year, and just keep your fingers crossed, no more major injuries.
Well, Mark, let's see how they finish up tonight with Logan Webb on the hill. First pitch 7:05. It's always a pleasure catching up with you and hearing your opinions on the different things the Giants are doing. You're the best. That's why you were at KTVU for so many years.
Yeah, but who's counting, right? And it can't get much worse than it did last night in the first game of the series. So let's do it. And Billy, always appreciate talking baseball with you. Thanks for having me on and keeping my little finger in the business. I love it.
That was Mark Abanias on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. More coming up next right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
On the sports leader.
Back on the KNBR Giants warm-up show. Some news today just happening right now. We saw Matt Chapman yesterday go to Reno and play for the Sacramento River Cats. Well, today, Casey Schmidt is in Reno batting second and playing second base. So we might see a Casey Schmidt signing coming back from rehab here in the next couple days. which would really make this lineup stronger. Take a couple minutes here and look at the lineup that Bob Melvin threw out there for tonight's game starting at 7:05. Mike Yastrzemski's going to play right field. He's leading off, hitting 250. Elliot Ramos will be playing left field. He's hitting 274. Rafael Devers will be hitting third. He'll be the designated hitter today, hitting 261. Matt Chapman back in the lineup. Boy, we can't wait to see him play tonight. He's batting fourth, playing third base, hitting 243 on the year. Jung-Hoo Lee batting fifth. He'll be playing center field, hitting 244. Willie Adames playing shortstop. He's hitting sixth, hitting 219. Dominic Smith will be playing first base. He's hitting 254. He'll be batting seventh. Patrick Bailey will be behind a dish tonight, hitting 191, hitting eighth. And Brett Wisely's going to start at second base tonight, hitting 194. So the lineup for Melvin, you see Ramos, Devers, Chapman, Lee, Adames, Smith, Bailey, and Wisely. The lineup going out for the home team, the Athletics. Mark Kotze's throwing it out there. Lawrence Butler will be leading off, playing right field, hitting 255 on the year. Jacob Wilson, the starting shortstop for the American League All-Star game. He's batting second, hitting 337, playing shortstop. Batting third, Brent Rooker will be the DH. He's hitting 273 on the season. Nick Kurtz, boy, he's a big man. He's hitting third, hitting 240. Shea Langelier, he's hitting fifth, catching behind a dish, hitting 242. Tyler Soderstrom will be playing left field, hitting 253. Max Muncy will be playing third base for the Athletics tonight. He's hitting 220. And Zach Geloff, who just came off the IL, he's playing second base, only had 3 at-bats yesterday with an RBI. And the talented center fielder, Denzel Clark, will be playing center field, hitting 200, batting ninth. The lineup once again for the Athletics: Butler, Wilson, Rooker, Kurtz, Langeliers, Soderstrom, Muncy, Geloff, and Clark. Starting pitchers today, Logan Webb on the hill for the Giants. He's 7-6 with a 2.6 earned run average. And the month of June, pitched 6 starts, 2.23 earned run average. Luis Severino will be on the mound for the Athletics. He's 2-9 with a 5.09 earned run average. I'll be doing the post-game show tonight. Mike Aldretti will be joining me on the extra inning post-game show. I want to thank my guests today, Shayna Rubin, Shooty Babbitt, Jessica Kleinschmidt, and Mark Abanez. Coming up next on KNBR, the pregame show right here on the Sports Leader.